Football today is decision day for juniors to declare for the NFL draft. Clowney, Bridgewater, Bortles, and Sankey, just some of the star underclassmen turning pro. You're wondering which schools are sending the most underclassmen to the NFL draft? Well, the list is topped by the LSU Tigers with 6 underclassmen announcing their intentions to turn pro. The USC Trojans are sending 5. They hope to get to the NFL. Alabama has 4 going as well. Also on the list with 4, Florida State and Notre Dame. South Carolina also with 4 underclassmen headed to the pros. But back to the top of that list, Les Miles on 6 of his underclassmen going pro, and the big decision those guys had to make.
Young guys that come into this program are expected not to be young guys. They're expected to take their roles and play big roles in this program. And that being said, that we recruit to that. We recruit to those guys that see themselves, stepping in and making big plays and playing a part.
And we welcome you to another jam-packed edition of CI Live, along with Doug Chapman and our managing editor, Pete Fiutak. I am Ray Crawford. So again, 11 guys underclassmen. Few went last year from LSU. They topped the list this year with 6. I think a lot of people start to wonder, what's the culture? What's happening down there where all these underclassmen are coming out early at
There
LSU?
are two ways to look at this. On the positive side, you want to sell to recruits. Come to LSU and you might be able to go to the pros. Look at our track record. If you're good enough to leave early, you're going to go to the NFL and get paid lots and lots of money. The problem with that is I think it generates a mindset where under Les Miles it says, hey, come to school, we're going to be about you and the NFL. If you go to Alabama, obviously you're thinking I can go to the NFL, but you might not have that same sort of mindset under Nick Saban. It might be a little more about team than the personality itself. So while LSU is different than Alabama, it's still, you bring in that talent, it's very good. You don't want to lose those guys early though.
I just think that LSU has had players that had more of an opportunity to leave early than Alabama has, and it's been in big droves. Last year we saw the guys go early. This year it's happening again, and it's the way college football is lined up. These college coaches come in, they know how much money these kids are going to make when they go to these schools. For these schools, they're going to go to school. They're not going to risk injury. If they can come out early, go ahead and come out early. I have no problem with it. These coaches aren't going. If they want to go get more money, they can leave and go to another school. If these kids can come in after their sophomore year, I definitely wish they would come
Nothing wrong with it whatsoever. But the problem becomes, like we saw last year, you had the sign up on the weight room door saying, these players are not into LSU football and they're out for themselves. You had Sam Montgomery and a slew of other key players on that list. And the problem is, do you get to that culture where it is, you do start worrying about that sort of thing, and you start worrying, is my NFL future going to be here, or is it about LSU football?
But for every Mingo and Logan and Minter, there's the Chris Falks, and there's the Michael Fords, and the Brad Wings, who left early and are still struggling to find their place in the NFL and the pros. Yep. But that won't be the case with Clemson wide receiver Sammy Watkins, who's really, I think, been on NFL Scouts' radar now for 3 years. But did he consider coming back for one last season at Clemson?
What if I came back, won the Heisman, win the Blinkenkoff Award, because I didn't win it this year? And, it was a funny thing. I think it came down to a business aspect and something that I had to do. Not saying I won't miss Clemson, but I think I can go in the NFL and be that dominant receiver and make a lot of plays.
Well, the season started with some questions, a little bit of a down year last year, a career year, though, this year.
He's fantastic. He's the best wide receiver in the draft. And like you alluded to, he's been on that radar for a couple of years. The down year as a sophomore really doesn't matter too much. But as he kind of talked about, the thing I'll ask Doug here, these players, we all, as college analysts, we think, it'd be cool to come back and win the Heisman, win this, do that. But the second they start getting paid in the pros, all that other stuff kind of goes away. It's like, what was I thinking about? Yeah, this is great getting paid for doing this.
Yeah, you don't want to come back and get hurt. Sammy Watkins is one of those players I call a one-step player. He gets the ball and in one step he's at full speed. He's a lot stronger than his frame. He can stretch the field. He can run all the intermediate routes. He has excellent hands. He's a crisp route runner, very, very, very polished. He's ready for the NFL. He was ready last year. He got injured last year, got nicked up, wanted to put up big numbers this year. His quarterback, Tajh Boyd, is leaving. He should leave too.
And you can only hurt yourself. You come back, right now he's a top 10 draft pick, possibly top 5. If he comes back, what's he going to do? Be top 3? He's not going to help his stock in any way. Get out, get the money. Great move, obviously.
Players, hindsight's always 20/20, and I think a lot of guys will look back and think that I make the right decision, and that's on both sides of it, whether you decide to go or decide to stay. So who made the worst decision?
Marcus Mariota. What are you doing coming back to college? You leave. He could have been the #1 overall draft pick. At the very worst, in this draft, considering the top 8 is going to be quarterback heavy, he would have been one of the top 8 picks in this draft, been a multi-millionaire right off the bat. Matt Barkley, Landry Jones, we've seen over the years, again, these guys who we think could be top draft picks can only hurt themselves if they don't strike while the iron is hot. He should have come out early, should have possibly been Houston Texans' #1 overall pick. I think he made a humongous mistake.
I think it's Amir Abdullah. 1,600 yards rushing. He had 281 carries last year. As a running back, we don't get a long shelf life. You get beat up a lot in college, shortens your NFL career. They're going to be requiring more work out of him next year. He's probably going to have close to 300, if not 300 carries for Nebraska. Hopefully those numbers are just as high, but he's one knee injury away from going on a third day to draft. He would have been a second, third, at the least fourth-round draft pick. To me, one of the best running backs in college. Had a big game against Michigan State. Was tough. Was really the only weapon offensively that they had at Nebraska consistently week in and week out, and he kept on producing. He's a great player. He should have came out.
He's not going to improve his stock.
Can't.
Because unless you're Todd Gurley, unless you're truly special, right now the best running back, Kadeem Carey, might be the best running back in this draft. He'll probably go in the second round. The position's been devalued. So at best, he's a second rounder this year. At best, next year, he's a second rounder. So he's not going to help himself at all by coming back.
Well, they have a few precious hours to change their mind here.
Change it, Marcus. Get out. Be Bill O'Brien's guy. It's
Somebody
okay.
should say, watch Campus Insiders.
You don't have to give us any money, Marcus. Do it. Get out.